Straddling. That's an awesome game. What else? Death Straddling. Awesome game. Death
Boarding
Straddling.
game,
Awesome game.
boarding
Death
game.
Straddling.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah! It's
Yeah,
on YouTube.
exactly. All right, I'm caffeinated enough. Okay, we good?
Yep.
All right. Today is April 12th. It is 8:01 in the morning on a Sunday. It's Easter, actually, my favorite holiday of the year. And this is the Board State. I am joined, as always, my friend across the island. Who are you, sir?
Choo. Jack.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good. Book quarantine last night.
You did?
Ran the blockade. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
Don't
Yeah,
worry.
we have a 11 o'clock curfew, right?
Yeah, I'm already on the FBI watch list.
Okay, thank you for adding that to our show. So this is the Board State. This is a podcast, YouTube stream on news that happened. Mostly news from the previous week on gaming articles that have to do with grassroots movements and gaming for social change. These are articles that stood out to me and Jack that we've collected throughout the week. We finalize them on Friday and bring it to you on a Sunday for your listening enjoyment. Is that about right? It's about right, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. First article today is going to be from Gamma Sutra, and I feel like we always, or at least every episode, we have at least one Gamma Sutra article. Here's ours. Huh? What's that?
They're becoming the mascot of this.
Slightly, right? Okay, and this is lessons learned from reviewing indie games. I really enjoyed this article. Let me just cover it a little bit, and then I'll hand it to you. 1 sec. Let me adjust my monitor so I can see. Okay, so this is from a member of the Gamma Sutra community. I don't think he's like a part of the organization, or it's not really an organization. He's just like a community member that wrote this article, and he reviewed mostly AAA games, and this is what I really like about this article is he's kind of showing both sides of the argument, and specifically. Right from the article, it says, as a reviewer, you should never personally attack a developer over a design decision. You can criticize a game all day long, but directly attacking someone for their game design crosses the line. And this is something that I need to really remember. And then one last quote, if you speak to indie developers long enough, you'll come to understand that sometimes the game that gets released isn't the perfect vision by the developer. There is so much we could talk about with regard to turning game ideas into finished games, but that is another topic altogether. Sometimes something that you absolutely hated in a video game, so much so that you became angry at it, could very well be hated by the developer, but it was only the viable solution they could come up with. So he's talking specifically about indie games, really. And, well, I mean, that's what the title's about, and how a lot of reviewers dismiss indie games, indie game development, as almost like a second-class citizen, to AAA games, and miss the charm of what's an indie game. Go ahead, Jeff.
So yeah, and it's not just that, but also the whole ideals of what makes a game, what makes a ideal creative or a hateful ideal. the line is much more blurred in a sense when you're dealing with indie games, because indie games, the room is so aspect. They have no ceiling. They could go up, or heck, they could even go down.
Mm-hmm.
It's not contained or controlled by a boardroom or by a whole
Yes.
group of or a whole company. It's mainly made by these couple guys with a passion project. So I
Right.
think he also hit home with this whole the background. So underneath the person behind the game, this point goes back to the romanticism surrounding games in the past and the incorrect notion that games was always released perfectly and
Mm-hmm.
without any bugs. Like, if you go to any old arcade shop and they have arcade games, you will still find bugs. Bugs are something like as life, there's stuff. There's a game, there's gonna be ways to exploit it.
There's life and death, and there's bugs in between.
Yeah, like honestly, like this outbreak is the pick. Yeah, I cannot talk today. But it's just IRL. It's happening IRL. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I think he hit all the right notes. I really hope the next article he mentioned is like up next reviewing reviews. He does this exact same format, because it will allow both sides of the argument to see, oh yeah, he's on my side, not
Yeah.
be going up against me.
I mean, this is really what our this show is about. Really, the board state is. I mean, we do focus a little bit on some AAA's because some AAA's are effing amazing, right? I mean, they're just
Wait.
like blockbusters. Like, oh my gosh, this game is just
Here comes
unarguably amazing. However, I mean that's maybe 2% or 2 out of 10 games in my opinion for the AAA games are like, really fantastic. Whereas like the indie side of things, there's just these really creative spaces that these companies explore, especially in tabletop. And this is something that we've talked about time and time again. And I think it's worth mentioning again in the tabletop space and also in the video games space for some respects to pitch a game to a big publisher. Let's say I wanted to make a game about disassembling iPhones and not getting caught by Apple or something like that, right? Like the whole point of the game is to run a independent to run a cell phone in a sort of illegal cell phone business where I fix cell phones to subvert around Apple support or Android support, whatever, right? And you pitch that to a publisher, they're gonna say, wait a minute, where's the dwarves, or where's the demons in this game?
yeah.
right. That's
Oh,
what people based
where's
on the
hot L?
yeah, based on the data that we have on what sells, right? Because they're more than likely, and to their credit, they want to reap a profit on their investment, right? That's what publishing companies
Right.
do. However, you publish a game like that, or like Wingspan, right? And it becomes a blockbuster because it's different. People are looking for different things now, especially in an ocean of overabundant releases.
Yeah.
Things that are different stand out, and indie games, that's what they're about. They're all about being different.
And I think we're gonna have see a decline of publishers, like a easy drop on publishers, because it's like becoming to a point where publishers are getting outgamed and outsold by other games. Like, for example,
Oh, good
the
point.
2019 ending financial statements from EA, Sony, and Tencent. Tencent is a new up-and-coming publisher.
Mm-hmm.
They all went down. All of their annual revenues went down drastically. Only thing that keeping them afloat is basically microtransactions and their marketing department.
Yeah. So yeah, 3 cheers for indie games. So that was lessons learned from reviewing indie games and a rant by Jack and Jeff. Kamasutra.com.
And that's how we do things.
That's how we do things, Holmes. All right. Next article is board games are having a bad time. Which, okay, so this is more. I mean, so this is more of a discussion between you and me, really. And so let me just go through this. So for my notes, I put down board games are having a bad time. In parentheses, I put, are they really? So let's talk about the dark side and the bright side. So the dark side, there's storefronts that are frozen right now, right, or semi-frozen because there is these mandates that people can't get together physically. Number two. And that leads to less face-to-face playtime. However, on the bright side, I think this is a quote right from the article. There's a lot of doom and gloom, but there are some bright spots. If you're not familiar with the scene, the board game industry is a lot friendlier than the death cult capitalism of video games. This is from the article. Okay, let me continue. Like those implemented by publishers like Fireside, Burnt Island, Deepwater Games, Forbidden Games, and Kids Tables board games, who are selling discounted games straight out of their warehouses, then donating sizable chunks of the proceeds, between 20 to 50%, to brick and mortar stores to help them get through this. China workers returned to their office and factories last month, which will at least get things moving again on the manufacturing side of things. But until the rest of the supply and demand chain can return to something at least resembling normalcy, it's going to be a rough few months for everyone in board games, from the people who make them right through to the people who play them. So that's kind of the pros and cons. So yes, I would say definitely the storefronts are getting hit really hard, and we're going to go into other medias today as well, and what some of Rob Liefeld in this example is doing to help the storefronts. But the other thing is, to go back to an episode or two ago, Target, which is still open, their board game section is empty, right? Like, when does that happen? And I'm not saying that board games weren't as popular, but they're way more popular, right?
And not just that, but Monopoly and games like that was not picked up. Those were the games.
Oh, you mean when you went in there?
Yes.
Wow.
So I went to the board game section because I live in Hawaii. Well, one of the first guys to get in games here from Asia and stuff like that. We also have a new indie scene coming out, so the major stores down here opens up games for people to buy. Context for people who doesn't know.
Yeah. We also have a lot of brick and mortar gaming stores though. As well.
So
Armchair, Other Realms, Westside Comics.
So the community over here is very close knit, but it's like very opening. But even then, it's like no Monopolies was being sold, no Bios was being sold, and these were like the standard editions. They was like the Star Wars edition, the First edition, like. So
what does that tell you?
That our prior statement about indie games are true. If you want me to conduct your studies, just give me $5,000.
Yes. So yeah, I think it's, I don't know. I mean, like I mentioned, our storefronts are definitely getting hit, the smaller storefronts, but I feel like people are still getting games.
Yeah.
So right, I went into Armchair Saturday ago where they opened up 12 to 4, and it was packed, man. Like, people were coming in, the phones were going off the hook. Yep. I mean, he was like answering phones, like people placing orders because he's delivering games, right?
Right. And so
I bought a bunch.
It's not like that's not a thing. It's just that there's always two sides of the coin. There's gonna be gamers at heart, but then there's gonna be what we're gonna talk about foreshadowing.
Let me mention one more thing as well. So One of my coworkers at Toshiba. This is actually a quick aside, but this is a beautiful story. I've been telling him about board games for years now at this point, and where they are, and I do the whole Pac-Man argument. Pac-Man's a video game, but don't have your kids play Pac-Man. They play Pac-Man, be like, yeah, Pac-Man's cool, but there's a whole bunch of other games, right?
Wait.
But because he doesn't see it, his kids kind of suffer, right? So he's like, I tried to play Scrabble with my kids. They're not really into Scrabble. I'm like, Scrabble? Come on, dude. There's like Haba games and stuff. Play them. Play with them like new cool games. They're gonna love it. Like, I don't think they're gonna like it. We played Scrabble. It's the same thing. So we were ordered to work from home from Toshiba, and I said, hey man, I'm gonna bring a bag of games for you. Okay, I'm just gonna fill up a bag, use it as long as you want. I'm gonna wipe the games down beforehand, so don't worry about it. Like a bag just full of games. There must have been, I don't know, 30 games or something in there. And so I brought it to work, and he's just like, oh my god, he's like looking at it like, what is this? And he's just like looking at all these games like, oh my god, this looks amazing. I've talked to him since. He wakes up in the morning and his son is on the table just playing solo by himself. Like, they're just so addicted to those games. They love them. His wife, who's I think a play therapist, she's like, oh my god, I could use this game for work. This is way better than whatever game that she was using just for like color recognition and things like that. So yeah, I mean, so there you go. If this quarantine / crisis hadn't happened, he would not have really explored the new hobby of board gaming.
I'm gonna call him my faithful after this recording, okay?
Okay, just don't forget. So anyway, so the title of the article is Board Games Are Having a Bad Time? Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't really think so.
I honestly think I wanted to address this issue because a lot of board gamers feel like because of the LGSs or closed that so we're gonna tackle on that subject soon.
I'll just say one more thing on this. I am playing, strangely enough, more video games now at home.
The code.
I am playing more video games than I normally would have. Than board games, which is strange enough, because now I would have the opportunity after work to play more board games at home, but I tend to. It may also be because the person that I play with, I would say 75% of the time is playing Animal Crossing. So, so unless I'm playing solo, maybe. Anyway, so that is Board Games Are Having a Bad Time by Kotaku. Next article. All right, this is a cool one.
From Kotaku.
Huh?
I forgot that was from Kotaku.
Yeah, I know.
That was one of the better articles.
Thank you. Right? Okay, we won't go into that, but yeah, exactly. This is CBR.com. Realism drags down video game design, and let me take this. So we are recording. I'm about to say some stuff that's going to be canonized throughout history, so that future Nanakuli high school classes that I say this are like, hey, wait a minute, on the Board State episode 26, this is what you said. All right, so let me just take the mic for a little bit. So realism is not inherently a bad thing. Many great games are based in reality, but a problem arises when developers choose to focus solely on making games as true as life as possible. Something is lost when games give up escapism and fantasy in favor of realism, and too often, what sacrifice is the fun? All right, hold on. I got a couple more things to read. Overly relying on realism in gaming regularly drags games down, and those that let their imaginations run wild are raised above the rest. Okay, a couple of more to read. Real life can be the basis for how games are designed, but developers should lean further into escapism and fantasy in order to make games that are as fun as possible. A great example, Jack, of this is the current king of battle royales, Fortnite. With Fortnite, Epic Games has wholeheartedly ditched realism and embraced the fantastical, and it has paid off for them. The game's features the ability to build various structures, or press of a button, pulling out materials from the back of your pockets, and throwing them in a 12-story building in miniature flat. Guns are, of course, in this game too, but realism isn't a factor aside from the basics of how they work. Fortnite has an arcade-like feel, which has helped make it one of the most popular games in the entire world. One more. Another game that proves that shooters don't need realism to be fun is Halo. The series has ditched realism and it's done incredibly well in terms of commercial and critical success. In fact, the biggest complaints about it Halo Reach were the instances where Bungie added more realistic mechanics, etc., etc. So, I think this is a fantastic highlight, and this is something. Wait, let me just add one more thing to this before you chime in. And my phone just picked up Siri and started notating what I said automatically. Am I being hacked by Alika here? Okay. So, just one more thing. So I remember this must have been 5-6 years ago, and we were talking about realism in game design. We were working on another game, and I brought up the argument where, at least at the time, I believe, and I could be thinking this wrong, but in Halo, you can like one-shot people by hitting them on the head, right? Can you still do that?
If you go from behind, yes.
Okay, so that mechanic, I mean, maybe you can knock somebody out, with the butt of a gun, but probably, I mean, we're talking about like, these extraterrestrial beings. So, right. But that is something that isn't realistic, but put into a game makes it really cool and fun, right? Right. Your thoughts on this?
First thoughts. Oh, yeah, I'm a Halo fanboy.
I know. That was the
no, yeah. But honestly though, it shows like the ideas and concepts that many game developers have a hard time facing, especially during indie game development. Most often, their ideas are inspired by real-life scenarios that they will have to endure by. But what makes a great game and a terrible game is that they'll successfully portray it in an outside way, in an outside point of view. For example, a great one of this is Undertale. If you say, I want to make a game where you be a pacifist and it rewards you for being a pacifist, that itself won't get people involved. But the fact that Toby Fox hit it with music and create dialogue and create story arcs, even though if you choose to go the genocide route, then it will fulfill that player's involvement and had the overall message until the very end, where the players get to appreciate it. Mm-hmm. The big thing that a lot of games are doing correct and a lot of films are doing wrong is that hiding the message till the end. Because if you provide the message at the beginning or at the middle, then you basically became all of these films, a PC film. And you're just trying to sell this idea of like, we're empowering everybody.
What is that voice? Who is that? That's
my high voice. That's my high voice. Smoke crack. Don't cut this.
All right, focus. Yes. Let's steer this back.
But it's honestly something like that. Realism is that it's hard to master, but once you master it, like Fortnite, like Halo, everybody will continue to come back to you. Like Halo 5 is probably the worst game in the series, one of the worst games in the series. But let people still go and play on it because not only they help and make it up, but it's still Halo. It still has that feel of Halo.
All right. So,
Yeah.
in your opinion, does realism's drag down video game design? Can it?
No, it could also expand on it. For
Okay.
example, like other PC games like Armor 3, if you heard of it, if you're not, then it's basically a realistic sandbox military shooter.
Yep.
There will always be an interest of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Same
Oh,
with tabletop, right?
yeah, so, but it's gonna be a harder niche to provide.
Yes, 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 yes. So it really depends on the purpose of your
Right.
game, right?
Do you want to make a Call of Duty clone? Go ahead. But if you want to make something better than Call of Duty clone, like a Armor 3, a Halo, then you'll have to be more creative about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
biggest selling point with Armor compared to like Battlefield, Inter Insurgency, and all of
Hmm.
these other first-person shooters, they allow you to be the general and the soldier at the same time. No
Got it.
other game does that, from what I could tell.
Okay. Okay. So again, it just depends on what you're building, right? If you're trying to build
Right.
like a military historical game, you better do your research because the people that are playing are going to be looking for those notions of realism. Whereas
Right.
if you're playing something like Halo, right, then the universe is the limit.
No, then you need to make sure you live up with your promises.
But in terms of realism, in
Right,
terms of
right, right, right,
realism,
right.
right? Like
No,
no one's
but
going to expect, you know, the physics of the vehicles to work like a Toyota Corolla, right? Like
right,
it's
right, right.
it's yeah.
Unless
Okay.
does the Toyota Corolla flips over several times whenever you drive it.
Mine definitely doesn't. All right. That's cbr.com. Very important thing where we're actually going through in our game that we're building right now. Realism drags down video game design. Next article. Whoa, what's happening here? Why are you not loading? Oh, okay. Malaysian tabletop games to enjoy at home during COVID-19. So this for me, I included this because this is why I like this is my purpose for doing this show is to highlight stuff like this. And these are the type of games that I try to go out and find and buy. And I just wanted to highlight some really cool Malaysian games that I've never heard of and their cultural fit. So this is from thestar.com, and the article is by Dinesh Kumar Maganathan. I assume that's a Malaysian person. And there's just some really, 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 and I don't like to use the word really, but I'm going to use it right now. Really cool games. Let me just highlight a couple in here. Let's see here. For instance, Reef Stakes, which was launched in 2018, allows players to debate, argue with, or even sabotage each other before collectively deciding the future of reef ecosystems. Like, ugh, so cool. Yeah, so this and Ho Yi Jian is part of the Tabletop Game Designers of Malaysia, and yeah, there's this organization that produces just these really cool games. And again, like we're talking about with indie stuff, this means that, and this is right from the article, this means that these games have a better appeal to target audience and market, and appeal applies on many levels. Adding relatable themes makes it even more likely for a Malaysian to pick up, and reaffirms their identities as they would be able to quickly understand the rules because it piggybacks on closely known shared concepts. A lot of the games that we make here as well align with our cultural views and practices. Man, there's just so many cool games here. There's just really, really, really cool. Your thoughts on this, man?
Honestly, it's like, but for every one game like this, there's like over 10,000 of these things that will never get the spotlight.
Hmm.
So it's honestly, I'm happy that Malaysia has been given a spotlight, but I feel like they will continue to get more and more games. But as it goes along, only these like couple games will get more and more spotlight, in the wing news because a lot of people were attracted to more of like this is where the roots are. Like how Mario, for example, for Nintendo, even though they have like Super Smash Bros, Animal Crossing, everybody still knows Nintendo, not for any of those things or for Zelda, but for Mario. So it's both good and a bad in a sense because it will also means other game developers in that same region, such as Malaysia, will have to be more creative and out of the box in order to get more appeal or to get more traction.
Yeah, there's really and sites like Board Game Geek really underscore these games.
Right.
Yeah, when I went to BGG Con, I was taken aback by how I mean, well, it is the hardcore board game convention, but everybody knew about all these indie games, like everybody there, all these Japanese, like really obscure Japanese games that didn't even leave Japan. Players had to go, or purchasers had to go to like the toy fair and like buy them and then bring them back here. Yeah, I mean, it's just so cool. Just one more game to mention here before we move on. Pasaraya Supermarket Manager. It's a deck building game that gives you the chance to be the manager of a supermarket who has to oversee the balance between purchasing stock, fulfilling orders, and recruiting staff. In many ways, Parasara is the sort of game to resonate in these COVID-19 quarantine times when conversations are about food supplies and social distancing. So it's cool, man. I love it. I love it. I love
No,
it.
and the whole idea was from one reality situation, but now could be applied for a totally
Uh,
unknown
uh,
at that time of creating, but now real threat.
Yeah, all right. So that's thestar.com. Please, if you're listening, check this stuff out. See if you can get a hold of these games. Support this type of scenes.
Yep.
That is Malaysian tabletop games to enjoy at home during the COVID-19 quarantine. All right. Next article. This is I'm gonna go sit over there and let Jack talk about this one. This
Wow.
is from the nationalinterest.org. It's pretty cool, actually. This is Winning Edge.
Yeah.
Meet the forgotten board game used by the U.S. Army. Jack.
Okay, so the Ring Age is basically a board game that is a mix of questions and answer trivia with mathematical talking. Okay, and the creator of this is the U.S. Army. The U.S. Army wanted to train up its own personnel in more creative ways because at the time they were going out of the Vietnam War. So this was made during the whole reshuffling and re-entrancing of the U.S. military, the military we now have today. And so it was made to appeal to the future soldiers, but it was also made to appeal to the gamers. Because even though it has like teaching people or military terms like fire for effect, FFE, time on target, TOT, these things won't be applied in like the gameplay mechanics. For far as I could tell from the article, the gameplay is basically you team coordination. Your team playing against another team, and if you all win, you all win. But it's not supposed to be like an individual win.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like showcasing this idea of team play is the new hot thing. Only now games are becoming more like group effort and stuff like that. It has been around ever since, and in fact, the article goes into other aspects of team play in military warfare, like Romans and the Russians, but this game in particular is still being like sold, or these versions of it still being sold online. So if you search it up, you could still find a copy and you could still play it. I'm not too sure if it's free or not. That's a case of military DoD.
Well, Avalon Hill, which is now owned by Hasbro, released a commercial version called Tactics 2 in 1958 as well. Yeah.
So,
Cool. Very cool. I need to spend more time playing military simulation games. Not because I'm a fan of war. I'm really not. But that I think they're the most crunchiest games in existence, man. Like they're just really, they're tables and charts and
Yeah,
stats, right?
you, you know, and it's like people think, oh, if you play a war game or if you like war movies or stuff like that, you must love war. The fact is, if you play one of these games, you're gonna realize that you're gonna hate war. Com like Armor 3, the military realistic sandbox shooter that I mentioned a lot on this podcast, it requires you 40 hours just to learn the basics. And you're gonna hate the game. Like,
Oh, I see. Rules wise, well,
no, no, not just rules wise. Like, you're gonna hate the game gameplay wise. For several of the things, the thing, but it's not thanks to the game developers' fault. It's because it portrays war.
oh, okay. But I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I don't know. To me, that's why I would like it. I would like
No,
to see the. Go ahead.
no, it's just like we're not going into these games like talking about them to sponsor war. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
Uh,
get. I think I get what you're saying. But they are. I think it's the high watermark for complexity in games because war. I guess like science as well. Well, I mean, war has all the science in it. It can, and war games historically, older war games now they're a little bit lighter as far as I know. Well, no, I mean GMT is still making these crazy complicated games, but these true war simulations, they got everything down to math. I mean, just with these complex like tables of like wind resistance, like mortar
yeah.
traveling, and just I mean beyond just the 40K like just morale of the troops. There's just so many different factors and charts that you kind of need to be like an armchair rocket scientist to kind of really
Wait.
figure out and know. And I think that's really cool to like in terms of like weights for your brain to lift to get stronger algorithmic brain
But
processor. You walk away from that, you're just like, wow, I just built an AI system in my brain. um
we also have to remember this game was made before advanced computers was even available fully for the US military.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this game was made over pencil and paper beforehand. So
Right. But going back to your comment about hating war games, is I would love to see a game where you're part of some kind of combat insurgency, and then you have to manage the aftermath of what happens. So like kind of like what happened, I guess, in the early 2000s, where we went and invaded, toppled the regime, and then we're stuck there to clean up the mess. Yeah, I would
there
love to
is a
see.
game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, give me one sec. I could get it up.
yeah.
But yeah,
In
it,
some respects, that's this war of mine kinda does that. Um, where you're playing as survivors in the aftermath. You're not really as the occupiers.
damn it.
Right, and Jack is typing away and looking up something, folks. This is live here. We're
Yeah,
live. He's
yeah,
looking it
yeah.
up.
So, but it's honestly that whole mantra of those ideals of like war being war will always brings out peace in the end.
Right.
Because like even war games, the main factor of it is the teamwork and coordination. not the whole aspect of fighting each other.
Yeah, this is something that I've been studying for the last 6 months. Actually,
So
is on this
it's
very subject.
it's called Rebel Inc. If you search it up now,
Rebel
and
Inc.
yeah, it's
Okay.
made from Plague, the publishers of Plague Inc. or game developers.
Okay. Rebel
And
Inc. All right.
you're basically the government after the coalition
Wow.
topple it.
Let me just read the um, let me just read the pitching description here. Can you stop a deadly insurgency? Rebel Inc. is a unique and deeply engaging political military simulation created from the creators of Plague Incorporated. Oh, those guys!
Mm-hmm.
I think we're actually talking about them today. The war is over, but we all know that doesn't mean anything. To stabilize the country, you need to balance military and civilian priorities to win the hearts and minds of the people, whilst also stopping insurgencies from stealing power. Rebel Inc. is a brand new game from the creators of Plague Incorporated, and one of the most popular paid games. Yeah. Wow, cool. Okay, stabilize the country, you need to balance military and civilian priorities to win the hearts and minds of the people. Interesting. Interesting. Wow, okay. Thank you.
So
Thank you for
it's
that.
kind of dumbed down compared to like other games like Arma
Yeah.
3 or Hard to Fire
Yeah.
4. But it's probably it will start this whole niche of like what was the war of terror like?
Yeah.
Exactly. Not like how the films portray it, but like how the soldiers described it and felt in it.
I mean, it could even be something like Hawaii, like after Hawaii was occupied and we started naming schools, based on the occupiers, the
Yeah.
occupiers and not being able to speak, the
And
native
then
language of a population, etc., right?
oh,
Like
I have a
that's,
good idea.
uh
I think you should stop talking right now. Like,
huh.
because if we keep
Yeah.
talking, we're gonna use this
All
idea,
right. All
and
right.
that's all, folks. Well,
Okay.
but
Okay. So, all right, let's move on from this topic. We could talk about it all day. That is from the nationalinterest.org, and that is about the winning edge game, Meet the Forgotten board game used by the U.S. Army. All right, and that was a Jack article as well. Very nice
yeah,
article,
of
Jack.
course.
All right.
If you on this podcast, would you expect me to choose anything different?
Yes, absolutely. All right, next one's going to be from VentureBeat.com, and this is Brazil's big festival takes this indie gaming event online. Why don't you start with this one, Jack?
Oh wait. So, like any other country, there were several pros and cons about several of the events going online and could it be manageable and stuff. But the events that are taking up has been mostly around the digital age. So indie games is such an event, and it is a complex subject because the indies won't be able to showcase their games in person.
Yeah.
However, by showcasing it online, they open the world to see it much more faster and much more readier, and they will allow themselves to at least be able to get more feedback and more interesting comments than they will have in just that one festival. A downside to this is that the feedback could be muddled, it could be complex, they could be talking about another game. Another thing is that there is no direct line or trusted, so you're not be shaking the hands to the creator, so you don't know who it's gonna be making for, will it continue to be published or be made, stuff like that. So Brazil is taking a great step like how Ponian is and Ireland is by encouraging game development even though during these stressful times. The
Yeah.
question is this the right move for these indie developers to participate still?
I think it's the only card they have. Well, maybe not, but I mean it's definitely I think it's a great idea, and we're seeing
Right.
this more and more play out with like GDC and things like that. And some of the Origins, I think now is going to be virtual as well. But the other, so this is let me take a step back here. So this is Brazil's big festival. So Big Digital is the event, and they have really done a really cool job migrating this to a digital platform. They even have like a matchmaking tool that you can hold face-to-face meetings and things like that with publishers. So one way that I'm really looking at this situation that lends itself directly to this article is we're looking at a lot of new opportunities where we never have. So for example, I wasn't going to go to the GDC this year, but I could have watched the virtual event, right? Same thing with like BlizzCons, for example. And I don't know if BlizzCon's going to be canceled next year, but BlizzCon, if you don't go to BlizzCon, you can just attend the virtual event, right, and see things virtually. And so I think by not having these events, sure, there's disadvantages there, but also people that couldn't go now have an easier accessibility channel to view these things now, right? It's a lower barrier of entry, a term that we like to use a lot in game design. So yeah, man, this is a really good find, Jack. Thank you for finding this. Very poignant and what's happening now. And yeah, even I can attend now. I don't have to pay for it.
And another note about this article before we leave it is that, like, for example, news broke headlines that CD Projekt Red is worth more than the Poland's national bank. So, like, even though they're like making only like one-off games, like The Ritual and stuff like that, that nation has such a pride for it that they're like, know what? Take half of our economy, anyways.
Oh, right. Okay. That was a good PSA. Please contact Jack, Project Red.
He's giving me a free copy or like a free collector's edition.
Or even a T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Let me add one more thing to this, and related, not related, sort of. So the new Hearthstone expansion launched last week, and I've been playing a little bit of it. It's very, very good. I really, really like it. They did some really cool, innovative things. I was watching a show with Frodan, Brian Kibler, and Firebat, and they were just talking about the state of the game and whatnot. And one thing that Firebat mentioned was for this year, because of the events that's going on, the Hearthstone Pro League will be there'll be no arena hall meetups for any of the professional gaming, right? Or the competitions. They'll all be virtual. And Firebat, he was like, I think it was like gamer of the year for Hearthstone. He did, and he's really experienced and competitive Hearthstone professionally, and he's this really popular streamer and really cool guy to watch as well. Hey. So one of the things he was mentioning was for someone. Oh, so I'm sorry. So it's not the. So it is the Pro League, but it's like the qualifying Pro League. So same thing with like Magic. You have to like get on a plane.
Yeah.
Pay for your flight to Texas or whatever. Enter a competition, maybe place, right?
Well, not anymore.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm getting to that. So, right. So if I wanted to compete in this Hearthstone League, I would need, I don't know, $10,000 or whatever it is, and start going to all these meetups and start competing to acquire points to qualify as a professional Hearthstone player. So that limits a good number of the population to compete, right?
Right.
However, now, because it's virtual and nobody has to travel, what Firebat was predicting was you're going to see a greater number of players that are going to be competing now, which will make the competitive landscape more interesting, right? The more players that go into a system, right, the more the system will evolve. We'll see more interesting decks and things like that. So too with events like this. Now that we'll see more designers starting attending, and pitching their games or sharing their games, like we mentioned with the Malaysian, are you okay over there? With the Malaysian game designers, right? So maybe now we'll actually see more exposure, right, in these spaces because of the use of virtual meetups.
Yeah.
Stuff like
True.
that, right? I mean, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about magic. All right, Brazil's big festival takes its indie gaming event online. VentureBeat.com. No Magic the Gathering here.
I will let you know later then.
Okay. All right. The Wise World of Technology and Innovations, TechnoWise. Indie gamers lament lost opportunities to canceled events. And yeah, so this is by technowise.com. And what is this article about, Jack?
Well, and it was talking about how the Brazilian function, it also provides a great opportunity for indie game developers such as ourselves, but also a great loss. Like, nothing will make people more convinced in your products than going to person with them and talking to them straight up. No, this is nothing. There is no hides. There is nothing different. This is the product that I'm selling. Because a lot more people will feel more enriched by talking to you, and that means you'll have a much more loyal fan than just by going off and putting it online and typing their comments on, because they feel like, well, it's another game, another dial. Yeah.
So this is a different article. However, it's kind of a continuation of what we're talking about in Brazil, somewhat. And and so a couple of things about this article is the lockdown, and this is directly from the article. Is the lockdown has led to more people logging into gaming. Valve's Corp Steam online gaming service is breaking records, and global gaming publishers are registering increasing demand. Online only esports events and live streaming activity will likely grow as more people stay inside. Streamers and content creators will increase their captive audience. Etc. Recession-resistant industry. Gaming was deemed to be recession-proof in 2008 to 9 by IDG Consulting. It grew 20% in 2008. The same time happened. The same happened during the 9/11 time. It grew 42%. The recent resistant nature of gaming is facing slightly rough weather during the COVID-19 pandemic, however, although the deployable feature of many gaming may insulate it a little. Also, free gaming on mobile will see a continuous upward arc, but the PC and console versions coming at premium will see a downside, according to this article. So that's, just even, feeding more into the fire, the Brazilian cancellation, where there's these opportunities that are growing, and yet there's these other factors that are getting hit.
Overall, it's a great time to be in the game development field. Indie or AAA publisher or gamer. Because unlike the truck driving industry, or unlike the military, or unlike the basically farming industries, we do not rely on government funding. We do not rely on government opinions. We basically have control of our own market. And because of that, all of these games will continue to be published, especially in console and PC. The only thing we're going to see a decline of is the time in where they're going to be placed. That's the only thing that we're gonna get significant decline. For example, like Halo Infinite, a game that a lot of people is interested in, is continuing to get work done. Cyberpunk 2077 still continuing to get work done. So even though like there's these horrors, game developers have been proven to overcame them. The only thing is that with the initial short-term loss, will it affect? How far will it affect? Because indie studios may not survive like for the initial week of loss or 2 weeks of loss. But
All right. Yep. So that is my excuse me, technowise.com. And that is Indie Gamers Limit Lost Opportunities Due to Canceled Annual Events. All right, next article is by HollywoodReporter.com. So I will just say this. Before you click on this link, just make sure that you're using something like Brave, the Brave browser, or some traffic monitoring apps on your computer. My suggestion, or just don't click on it, because there's a lot of back end ad revenue. Like I think I counted a couple of hundred or something ad revenue background processes from this site. So I use an application called Little Snitch that monitors all traffic going in and out of my computer when I'm browsing or even just launching an application, and the thing lit up with this site. So just a PSA. So this is the HollywoodReporter.com, and it was a big shock. Struggling comic shops get help from creators, and this is, man, I really love this article. Thank you, Jack, for submitting this one. This is really good. And what it is let me just start with this. It gives an example of an artist, Rob Liefeld. We all know him. He's a very popular, comic book artist from back in my day, actually. And they're just doing things out of the box to support brick and mortar comic shops, is what this article is really highlighting, and that is super awesome. Really, really, really awesome. What are your thoughts on this, Jack?
especially now, like with the whole COVID-19, this is the continuation that we mentioned in the Kotaku
Yeah.
or CPR.
Oh, all of them, really, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This was the main one that we wanted to talk about, and it's mainly the effects of ball game, what it will have for ball gaming, because a lot of these comic book shops are also LGSs. And what LGS is a local gaming shop, which means that a lot of the indie developers in the board gaming industry and publishers will have a lot of heat because they won't have the whole, after this coronavirus thing, we still need LGSs. We still need that whole niche community to come back to. Even because we're still seen as the nerds, unfortunately, or the outcasts to some degree. That if we don't have at least shops or places to go to meet up and gather after this, then all of this, all of the growth will be meaningless because we'll just go back down. I'm harder than that. So the fact that there's superstars and artists coming together to try and protect these LGSs is awesome. But I'm hoping that it starts a GoFundMe page for all of these LGSs. For example, over here in Hawaii, we're adapting very well to it. But places in New York, they're not able to adapt to it at all. So they're gonna get hit harder than anything else, or Louisiana.
Yeah, it was really cool. So just focusing on this article, buyers have come from around the world, including Hollywood. Freddie Prinze Jr. commissioned a 5,000 sketch of Batman villain Bane from Liefeld. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
The writer of Seinfeld commissioned a sketch of Bizarro, etc., etc. Very, very cool. I love this. This is really, really good, man.
One last thing. It also shows if your creations will become legends or stuff like that, they will even help doing a crisis. So Stan Lee, even though he died, his creations are still saving the day.
Yeah. Not all superheroes wear capes.
Yeah.
All right, so that was HollywoodReporter.com. It was a big shock. Struggling comic shops get help from creators.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on this one. Okay. This is Adventure Beat again. Facebook Gaming launches tournaments for esports amateurs. Jack, why don't you take the lead on this one?
So we like to for this podcast, this episode, we just like to have articles that linked into each other. Yeah. The only thing that wasn't was the military, and of course that was for me. But anyways, so this it's going back to this whole mantra of esports becoming more and more open and more accessible for the whole bio world. And by doing so, it will feature a lot more competition, a lot more ideals that it will challenge the normal ideal, because a lot of these competitors that goes into these tournaments usually pick high-end characters. You get intrigue because you're playing a character that is reliable and good. By opening up to a wider audience, they're basically allowing people who doesn't have that same concept of what's a good character and say, no, you're wrong. This is a good character. And it will show new ideas and new concepts and new tactics going forward. The fact that Facebook is running it is suspicious.
Yeah, I know, but yeah.
But I mean, it's still good news. Even though Facebook is running it, it means that Facebook will be able to continue to fund it. Unlike
That's true.
developer who has go bankrupt, then the tournaments go bankrupt as well. And if not, then they will have a lower niche.
Yeah. So originally designed as a tool to support live gaming events and tournaments, the company worked these past few weeks to shift Facebook gaming tournaments to meet digital needs to help people stay connected through their friendly competition with their friends. Through their friendly competition with their friends, family, communities. Our mission for Facebook Gaming is to build the world gaming community, and organized gameplay has always been a big part of gaming, regardless of levels of competition. Abu Sif, I guess that's the main dude who's spearheading this. Whether it's someone getting together with family and friends, or whether it's a creator of a tournament for viewers and supporters, or whether it's esports organization, this is a big part of gaming. So yeah, it's very, very cool. I like, that's very true what you said. Facebook has the capital to back something like this and have it be very big and successful. We've seen things like Roll20, which is what we're using for our D&D games now. Just traffic has gone up tremendously. Last night we were playing Call of Cthulhu on Discord, and we were just getting lag spikes, and I would just imagine on the back end they're just getting hit huge, right? And Roll20, I mean, I believe they're considered like an indie, company. There's no, big mega corporation backing them. But yeah, they're hanging on, man.
And another thing is that Facebook is not saying we're trying to replace sites like Roll20. They're saying they're trying to offer something. They're not really doing the whole YouTube-esque, center of gaming. Whatever happens here happens everywhere in gaming. They're being more relaxed about it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's I don't know if that it came across that way, but I'm not saying that Facebook is trying to compete with
No.
Roll20.
I'm just mentioning it out of regards of the article.
Okay, yeah. I mean, my point was that for Roll20, I don't know how quickly they'll be able to scale, despite the demand. But I get the cool thing with that is, and I was reading some stuff on Reddit about Roll20, and people are really understanding that they are a small organization, small group of people that put this thing together, never really expecting the amount of scale that it's the number of users that are being drawn into their service now, and are very honestly just patient with it's just the way it is right now. I'm going to continue to use it. If we get logged out, we get logged out. And also the number of players that are subscribing to their service, because you pretty much get everything for free, but you can pay like $5 a month or something like that. You get access to a little bit better assets in terms of like tokens and stuff to use in the game, and you get like lighting effects and stuff. But like you get everything else for free. That's freaking awesome, dude. That's so cool. Yeah, and like in that Reddit article as well, there was a lot of people that were mentioning that where they live, there's nobody in near vicinity is in the mainland, of course, in the vicinity where they can roleplay with, so like all their normal D&D groups, they all moved away, and
all the LGSs shut down,
or their LGSs, or they just don't have an LGS near them, or their LGS, like one of my friends that lives in Kentucky right now, he was saying that they just play Magic there, nobody role plays. So in that instance, like a service like D20 is priceless, because there's looking for group options. So you can say, I'm just looking to join a group, and then groups, DM will bring you in. Yeah, I also joined their Facebook group. Facebook, hey, see, steered us back into Facebook. I joined their Facebook group, and there's a lot of people that are like, I just started playing D&D, looking for a group, need a little bit of hand holding on character creation and whatnot, and bam, people just take them in.
Yeah, and
gamers are cool, man. Gamers are really cool. Well, they can be.
Well, no, it's just that if you're gonna talk to a gamer, don't talk BS. Talk honestly. Like that's what the gamer wants. Like, especially like, you could be as creative as you want, as long as you tell the gamer that your stuff is creative, he will enjoy it. So like even this Facebook article is like one of those things of good marketing. Like, take notes of good marketing when you see it. This is
all right. VentureBeat.com again. Facebook game launches tournaments for esports amateurs. We'll see how that turns out. All right, we're after our final article, and then we're going to go into some Q&A. We've got 2 questions picked out, which I rolled dice randomly. I really did. And this is Epic Pictures.
Was with you or not?
And this is Epic Pictures to launch gaming venture with playable horror-themed trailers. And I'll start with this. So this is, let me begin with a quote from the article. We're very focused on the genre indie film space. Awesome. But particularly over the years, we've had quite a bit of success with some film anthologies, and they name some. Adding that video game space is growing interest from a creative and promotional perspective. This project was very intriguing for us and our distribution partners, because it allowed us to put together some of the most interesting names in the horror film space and present a really great collection of stories. So, that's them. SCP Blackout. That's the Plague Guys, right? Look, how did we link that together? Isn't that's Plague Incorporated guys, right? Okay. So,
no. That is not Pig Incorporated.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Search up SCP Blackout. That is not Pig Incorporated.
All right. Okay.
I'm a part of that community, Mr. V.
I watched the trailer for. Okay, so I'll look it up. Let me finish my thought. I watched the Soda Drinker Pro trailer. That looked really, really cool. It's like you're navigating this psychedelic world. It's literally like a soda simulator. You're navigating all drinking soda. That seemed really cool. The SCP Blackout I watched was like, all right. I think the tagline was like, we die in the night so that you can live during the day or something like that. I was like, all right, yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, I mean, I will let you know about the foundation and all of the extensive lore layer.
Okay. So, your thoughts on this article, Jack?
Honestly, I feel like films and trailers needs to start doing this
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you mean
because
film companies?
film companies, yeah,
Okay.
because it's honestly like the decline of films are like the only guys who are making any money like officially now, other than A1,
Uh huh.
that indie film studio is Marvel, and it's like kind of funny and kind of sad, but in actuality, the main reason why they're making money is because one, they understand their audience and they tell them what the heck the film is, or at least the audience expects what they're coming from, and two, they're always being more creative than the other films.
Mm.
And it's kind of like if they want to survive and at least stay alive in the next couple of decades, they need to evolve like stuff like this.
Very, very
Or they
true.
could just continue decline and watch gaming overthrow them. I mean, I see it for both sides. I'm trying to root them on, but in actuality, they made so many mistakes. They're not gonna come back, even if they wanted to. So
Okay.
this could help them, but in actuality, I see it as like a bandage. Unless the real problems are just the trails and stuff like that won't make it any better.
Okay. Yes. Another way to look at this is these companies like Epic Pictures, they have tremendous capital and they want to invest in something where they'll get their money back. And right now, indie games looks like it's the place to put money into, right?
But
It's a very low buy-in or a lower buy-in, higher return of investment. So it's a good indicator that if you're making indie games, you're in the right place. When big
hey,
companies
well,
like this are looking at that space now, right, and be like, "Hey, how can we make this indie game too?" But then they also like I said in my quote, they claim. I mean, they claim to like indie films more as well, right? Which again,
hey,
let me take a step back. This is something that we've talked about time and time again is remove the word game, right? Or, gaming, right? Indie whatever has always been this interesting thing to look at. Indie films, indie music, indie art, right? Versus Disney.
yeah,
At least for me, but it's where you see the most coolest creative ideas is when you don't have 10,000 people on a production trying to get a story out. 10,000 Indian chiefs. Right? Too many chiefs, not enough soldiers, kind of thing.
yeah.
All right. So any other
So okay,
thoughts on this?
quick thing. SCP Blackout is based off of a
I
thing
oh
called
wait, no, hold on,
SCP
hold on.
Foundation.
Let me take a step back. Sorry, hold on. Let me interrupt you real quick. I looked it up. You're absolutely right. I don't know why I thought it was endemic. It's not. It's a completely different company that made that game.
Yeah. So the reason why they trade had that quote and stuff is because this foundation has to deal with you, you know the game Call of Cthulhu, like Call of Cthulhu has all these
Heard about it.
monsters.
Yeah, I've vaguely heard about Call of
Yeah,
Cthulhu.
yeah. Well, these other guys are going in there and trying to contain them, but realizing their jobs are pointless.
Okay,
And times that by 10.
got it.
So,
All right. Okay, so that was our last article. Thank you for making it through to the end of the episode. So we've got two questions to ask. First one is by Dice Chen, and it is, I hear you speak a lot about board games and listening to your back episodes. I find that you mostly play board games. Do you both play more board games in this crisis or more video games? So I'll go first. I already kind of answered that. I'm playing more video games now. I have played some board games. I'm continuing to buy board games. I just got my shipment for Planet Apocalypse, which actually I got 2 orders, ridiculously enough. I could not fit it in my room. It was just 2 giant boxes. So just think like half of a refrigerator worth of like games was blocking the hallway. We had to kind of like navigate around it to go to our restroom. But I went in and excavated into my room, and so I can make more space, and managed to put them all in there. But yeah, so I'm just sorry. I've been continuing to eat games, but I've been playing as much board games as I have video games. Jack.
I will have to say I was playing a mix,
Okay.
to be honest, because I've been playing a lot of games like Isle of Rim from Fantasy Flight. Isle of Rim is basically a Star Wars game about Han Solo and Boba Fett, the bounty hunters and scoundrels of the Star Wars universe. And it's a board game, and it's a team play. It's a solo, but it could be played with other people. I also been playing a lot of video games in the sense of this one game that Mr. V kind of having like stuff like he wants me to stop talking about it, but I can't because it's Greedfall, and Greedfall is also play the game. If you have 500 hours, play the game.
Right.
But no, it's just I have to say it's a mix. It's depending on the days. If my brothers are up and willing to play, then we're playing board games or card games. If not, then I'm usually playing video games on my own.
Okay. Let me go into a couple of things that I've been playing. So in the board game space, I'm not going to mention. It's just way too much. You can look at my Instagram. I post my games that I play there. Well, maybe I can just pick one that really stood out. Human Interface is really good. It's a cyberpunk game where you're taking down a tower, and you have these really, really, really cool miniatures and theme. That's Human Interface. That's a board game that stood out to me. For the video game space, I've been playing a lot of the Apple Arcade games. So Apple Arcade is like a subscription service. You pay like $5 a month or something, and you get access to all the games. There's some really, really amazing indie games there. Mutia Zone is a game that I've been playing a lot and just relaxing, and it's about a girl that goes to this island of like mutants, where her grandfather is a human there, and he's on his dying. He's like in the twilight hour. He's going to expire in like a couple of days, and you're getting to explore his life through the lens of these monsters and mutants. This little girl kind of going around talking to people. That's really cool. What the Golf, amazing game, really, really good. I won a bunch of awards. Just look it up on YouTube. And then I've been playing a little unknown game called Death Straddling, which is a very weird, surreal game about playing like a delivery man, delivering supplies in a I don't want to say post-apocalyptic world, but it's like, I don't know, thousands of years in the future, and humanity is gone, and civilization is pretty much gone, and you're just going from like one outpost to the other. Very cool game. All right, so that was by Dice Chen. Yes, sir.
Wait, does it McDonald's? All hail Kojima, all hail Kojima.
Oh, man. Yeah, just playing that again. He's such a genius, dude. He's just such a genius. Like, there's just, it's the little things in that game. So what? Just take a minute here to just say something. So in this game, you have to urinate. Like, you have to take a leak every so often. So when you urinate, like you build up like urine, and then you just have to like use the bathroom. So whenever you do outside, this mushroom grows out of the ground, and then other players in their game will see that mushroom, and then they can like it. Like this has like so you see like walking through the wilderness, like walking through like these like Nordic landscapes, and you'll see this mushroom. You like walk by it, and it has like all the players' names that like liked it. It'd be like 900 likes or whatever. Just little things like that. You're just like, man, it's so cool. All right. Oh, I like this question. Oh, I didn't put who it was from. Okay, hold on. Let me look
You
that up.
put Mitchell.
Oh no, I did. Oh, okay, yeah. Gotcha. I didn't scroll down enough. Okay, the question is from Richard. If you could pick one game that changed your life, what would that game be? I'll let you go first on this one, dude.
It will actually be. Oh damn! I don't want to. It will actually be Goldfish.
Okay.
So as you could hear, I have the little speech impairment. So how I got into over that is by gaming. But at the time I was 5 years old, and so I didn't really have that much people to talk to, especially like my brothers. As much as I'm close to them now, I really didn't. I was disconnected, and so my dad actually gave me a deck of cards, and he was like, "Oh, let's play Goldfish with these cards." And as much time together, the more times I will let you not read the book, stuff like that.
Wow, that's awesome.
So like that memory of him playing that simple game of Goldfish with me still like is in my head, even though he's no longer with me. So yeah.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that. That is really, really cool. I'm gonna cheat here.
What?
I'm gonna give you two.
Oh, if that's the case, then
No, because okay, so, or maybe I should stick to one. No, I'll do two because both were very important, life-changing events. So these are two tabletop games, and there's tons of board games that changed my life somewhat, but these two had the biggest impact. So one is Dungeons and Dragons. So Dungeons and Dragons was it's kind of like when you're a teenager and you hear a black metal for the first time, or you hear a punk band for the first time. You're like, you know what? I've always been a punk rocker. D&D. When I play D&D has taught me like math. It's taught me so much. It's taught me how to facilitate. It's taught me how to talk to people, how to dispel arguments, amongst players and things like that. There's so much life lessons that D&D has brought to me. It's keep me in touch with my friends and blah blah blah. But that's such an easy answer, and that's why I wanted to do two. Okay, because of course D&D has done this to so much other people, right? Really, the game that has changed my life is a game by Friedemann Friese. It's called Funny Friends. It's right there. I always keep it in iDistids. Funny Friends is Friedemann Friese's life simulator. And I will forever be thankful to my friend Van for introducing me to this game. When I played that game, I really began to see what a board game can do, like the power of a board game. And it's just really... So Friedemann Friese is my favorite game designer. I worship him to death. I pray to him every night. He's this really eclectic German designer with green hair, known mostly for Power Grid, but he's done tons of other stuff. And Funny Friends is a life simulator where you live your life and you can like take drugs and drink alcohol and drink, smoke and go to school, but everything has like a pro and a con to like what you do like in life. And then what's really cool is at the end of your life, you have this timeline of all these things that you did. And you kind of look at it like this set of cards and you kind of see the highlights. And things are like, joined a cult, became a Buddhist, got addicted to drugs. Just really weird, just offset. And the art is so freaking awesome. The art is so cool. Yeah, man. Once I played that, I was like, oh, now I get it. now I get what board games can actually
So-
do, and the space that they can make stuff.
I actually have one more pick since you did too, so
Okay.
I'm gonna cheat.
Go
now.
for it. Go for it. I don't think
I
Richard
will.
will mind.
I'm gonna give you guys a hint what this is. Okay,
Okay.
this is if you could hear it.
Oh no. Can't hear it, man. Sorry.
Okay. So we
Sorry.
played it. So
Was that the Halo intro?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Halo, really? You like
Yeah.
Halo that much?
Halo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Halo Reach
All right.
because of Forge and the
Gotcha.
custom games.
No, that's cool, man. Halo's a great game. I just don't like Xboxes. But yeah, I mean, Halo's fantastic. No, but
Well,
you can
the-
play it on PC. Yeah. All right. You
No,
can,
but-
right? Is it on PC too?
It's now on PC,
Okay.
the whole 4 games, but I love it because of it was the first time I was able to play the games like D&D and so and Hearts of Iron, but also games like Call of Duty Zombies and stuff like that, all within this one game.
Got it. Wow. All right. So that's gonna wrap it up. So Jack, if they want to reach us, how can they contact us?
First, you must sacrifice your blood, then your firstborn child, then you must all hail Uncle Sam because Uncle Sam will never guide you wrong. Never mind. Anyways, but you can contact us by theballstate@gmail.com and the wait, did I think that wrong still?
Uncle Sam will never steer us wrong. Oh my gosh. Okay, no, go ahead. Theboardstate@gmail.com.
And then or the DEAFKIDS@gmail.com.
Yes.
Or the website DEAFKIDS. We
Yes.
also publish a lot of games. If you want to support us through that route, you could.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh,
And then also, Jack pointed out that I've been posting the YouTube videos for kids, which takes out comments, so I'll be changing that. Sorry
So,
about that.
I already did some of the videos, so no worries. And the first initial videos, I did it, so you should be able to post comments on that saying,
I think I
"Mr.
might
B,
have
bye."
I think I might have went through there and changed them, but yeah, maybe.
What?
I don't know. Yeah, I might have. I don't know. Probably not. All right. So that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you all for listening and hanging out.